Okay, so I stumbled upon this article this morning. It's from Newsweek, and it says pet pet sitter watches dogs for repeat client. Then she notices something strange, and basically the pet sitter noticed that the owner had cameras around the house, and she was upset about this because she felt that the client had trusted her. So as a pet sitter, I have some thoughts. I do think that it's helpful if the owner mentions that there are cameras, just so you're aware that you might be recorded, especially for phone calls and stuff. However, like I don't think there should be one in a bedroom if you're staying over and house sitting, and obviously not in bathrooms, nothing creepy like that. A lot of people will be like, well, it shows you don't trust the pet sitter. Well, unfortunately, in my professional experience, and the reason why I don't have any employees right now is because I've had a lot of people not show up or not do their jobs, and the animal suffers. I've also had a lot of people tell me experiences where their sitter just didn't show up, didn't refill the water. They had to have someone come over. A pet sitter let the dogs outside and then left the property. Like just horror stories like that. And so I think that the cameras give some accountability because if the person knows they're being watched, they're more likely to do their job. I know that sounds terrible, but and I like it too that's part of why as a pet sitter I document everything. So every time I do a visit, if I'm just doing drop-ins, I'm sending tons of photos. I'm sending a summary of everything that happens. And then if I'm house sitting over a long period of time, the owner and I agree upon, do you want updates throughout the day? Do you want to report at the end of the day? And so I'm keeping up to date with them. And then I tell them right away if anything is changing in their animal's behavior or health. So like the other day I noticed one of my client dogs at a drop-in had a little cut on the inside of his nose. And so I was like, hey, I noticed that there's this little cut on the inside of his nose. It's been really cold. It could be that. And she was already aware of it. But it's something, just to be in that communication is so important for the trust. But unfortunately, a lot of people who are in the pet sitting industry, this is not their main job. This is something they don't take super seriously. So they're like, oh, I don't have to show up. And you do. This is a living creature. This is something you're responsible for. And I think also the cameras could be really good for, like if you have cats, especially if they hide from the pet sitter. Like most of my client cats get used to me within a few days and they come out and I can get pictures. But I do have one client, and I've sitted for them for multiple times now, where I'll watch the cats for 2 weeks and I never seen one of the cats. I'll see her through the sliding door and that's about it. And so I like that they have cameras because they can check that she's coming out, that she's eating. I can tell that she's eating and she's eating the box, but if there's any behavioral stuff, I can't check her physical condition because I can't find her. Or if I do find her, it would really stress her out. So I think that cameras, when used responsibly, can be very useful and it's very good for the owner's peace of mind. And I always assume that whatever house I'm in, I'm being filmed. Or that there's cameras up somewhere. And one time it was even useful for me because I did a dog walk and I forgot to send my usual pictures and report. So I sent it like 3 hours later after the walk. And I was able to say, to the owner, check your cameras. I was there at the correct time. But I just forgot to send the photos. And of course I apologized for that and she understood, longtime client of mine. But for both of us, it was good because it was a check that yes, I was there, but also the communication of, if you aren't going to be able to make something, don't just no call, no show. You call the owner, say, hey, something came up. Like this year, once I was hospitalized and I had to let all my clients know as soon as possible, hey, I'm not going to be able to be there, so they can make other plans. Because you don't want to just leave a dog unsupervised unsupervised with no water or without access to a potty break. So yeah, and then if for the on the owner side, if they see on the film that, the pet sitter's not showing up, they can contact a neighbor, they can contact a friend, they can make other plans, and make sure that the animal's taken care of. So I think while this pet sitter took it really personally, unfortunately, with my experience in the industry, I do think it is necessary. I think if you have a new pet sitter you're working with, put up cameras. I would tell them, it keeps them honest too, but put up cameras, and that way you can check in and make sure they're doing everything they say they're doing. Or at the very least, if you're not comfortable doing that, request lots of photos, request lots of updates, because you want to make sure that everything's okay. Because unfortunately, too, with animals, if something, their health, if something, they get injured or they get sick, they can go downhill very quickly. So it's important to be on top of it, so if something does start changing, you can get the medical intervention as soon as possible. So, well, yeah, that's my take on this article. I hope that's helpful for any other pet sitters or owners out there on why, you know, cameras do exist, and, the pros and cons of that. But that's my personal experience as a pet sitter for 2 years, as this being my main job. And from my experience talking to clients and my personal experience trying to hire and find other people, that it's just, unfortunately, a lot of people do not take it as seriously as they need to.